They lied to you. Your depression isn't just chemical, it's a consequence of the life you refuse to change. No one's coming, no one's saving you. If you want peace, you'll have to earn it through war. And the battlefield is your own mind. You feel like life is crashing down on you. You're anxious. You can't sleep. You lie in bed staring at the ceiling. Your mind racing through failures, regrets, missed chances, and a future that feels empty. And every time you try to stand up, something drags you back into that mental swamp. You start to believe that this is just how it is. Your mind broken, your motivation gone, your spirit weak. But listen to me, and listen well. Your emotions are real, but your submission is a choice. Pain exists, yes. Suffering exists. But what you do with it defines who the hell you are. You're not a victim of your feelings. You're a hostage to your lack of action. You're not drowning in depression. You're drowning in avoidance, in comfort, in a life without structure, without battle, without resistance. And when a man has nothing to fight against, he ends up fighting himself. No one's denying that mental health is real. Of course it is. But the lie they feed you is that you're powerless against it, that it's a life sentence, that the answer is always external. Medication, therapy, numbing agents, distractions, they never tell you the truth. And the truth is brutal. You have to save yourself. You have to wake up when you don't feel like it. You have to train when you're mentally shattered. You have to build routines when your brain is screaming to stay in bed. Not because it's easy, but because that's the only way out. You want healing, it's in the hardship. You want clarity, it's in the chaos you conquer. Your mind isn't your enemy, it's your gym. And every time you resist the urge to give in, you're adding another rep to the muscle of your soul. Every moment you choose discipline over despair, you're winning a war that most people have already surrendered. Stop confusing comfort with care. The world will pat you on the back while you rot. They'll give you a pill, a label, a justification to stay weak. But there's no pride in dying slowly while being validated. There's no power in being understood if you're not changing. If your life still sucks in 6 months, who cares who empathized with you today? Sympathy won't build your bank account. It won't rebuild your confidence. It won't force you to become the version of yourself you see in your dreams. Only pain will. Only action will. Only brutal honesty will. You want someone to care? Care about yourself. Wake up early even if you didn't sleep. Push iron even when your chest is tight. Set goals even when your mind is fogged. That's real therapy. That's what no one tells you. Not because it doesn't work, but because most people are too soft to face it. You're not broken, you're undisciplined. That voice in your head saying you're not good enough, it's a liar, and it only wins when you stop fighting. You think successful men didn't feel what you feel? You think they weren't buried in doubt, fear, and darkness at some point? Of course they were, but they fought. And not just once, they fought every damn day, until that voice was silenced by action, until their anxiety was crushed under the weight of their routines, until their purpose became louder than their excuses. The difference between you and them is not trauma, it's response. You sit in it, they rise through it. They took responsibility. They looked in the mirror and said, this is my fault. And because it's my fault, I can fix it. That's the most terrifying and liberating mindset a man can adopt. You want power? Own everything. Your depression, your failure, your wasted years. Take it all, then flip it. Build from it. Become untouchable. And here's the most beautiful part. They don't teach you this, but it's true. There's hope in pain. If you're hurting, it means you still care. If you feel lost, it means you still have something inside you worth saving. The numb, dead men, they're the ones beyond repair, but not you. The fact that you're here, questioning, searching, trying, that's the ember. Now you have to fan it. You have to build a fire so hot that the demons living in your head can't even survive near it. And that fire comes from action, responsibility, repetition. You don't get stronger by waiting to feel better. You get better by moving while you're broken. You become elite by building while you're bleeding. Every champion was once a man who refused to stay on the floor. So stop waiting for the day you feel ready. That day's a lie. The real ones move when it's dark. They build while it hurts. They show up when their mind is chaos and still dominate. You You think strength is smiling on sunny days? No. Real strength is holding your frame when your world is falling apart. It's standing tall when your chest is tight, your thoughts are loud, and your soul feels like quitting. That's when kings are made, not in luxury, not in therapy sessions, but in war, in the dirt, in the silence between breakdowns and breakthroughs. And here's what most men don't understand. You don't need to feel good to do good. You need to do good. And eventually, you'll feel good. Action rewires your brain. Movement generates hope. Progress creates purpose. But it all starts with one decision: to take control, not of the world, not of other people, of yourself. That's all you've ever had. And that's all you'll ever need. There was a time I couldn't sleep either. I'd lie there with my fists clenched, mind buzzing like a broken machine, replaying every mistake I'd ever made. All the wrong moves, all the people I let down, all the time I wasted chasing pleasure instead of purpose. I wasn't living, I was surviving. Barely. You wouldn't have seen it in my eyes back then because I wore the mask well. The smile, the jokes, the bravado. But inside, I was spiraling. That quiet voice in the back of my mind, it wasn't whispering, it was screaming. You're nothing, you're behind, you'll never make it. And I believed it. For a while, I believed it because no one had ever told me the truth. You don't defeat darkness with comfort. You destroy it with discipline. I remember the night I broke, not with tears, but with decision. I was tired of pity, tired of explanations, tired of hoping someone would come and fix me. I looked at the mess I had become. Not just my finances, not just my routine, but my identity. I was weak and I hated it. And in that hate, something sparked, a moment of ruthless self-honesty. I said to myself, you are the reason your life is like this. No one's coming, no one owes you anything, so what the hell are you gonna do about it? That question shifted everything. Because for the first time, I realized that the pain wasn't the enemy. It was the proof that I had something left inside me to fight for. That next morning, I woke up early. Not because I wanted to, my body begged for sleep. My mind begged for more time. But I said no. I got up, I ran. I pushed weights until I could barely lift my arms. I sat in silence for 10 minutes, battling the storm in my head. And I repeated that process every day. No therapist, no miracle, just consistency, sweat, and brutal self-accountability. And slowly, piece by piece, I started building a man I respected again. Not a perfect man, but a dangerous one. A man who no longer feared the demons in his head because he trained with them daily. People think I just woke up rich and confident. They don't see the war I fought internally. The years I spent dragging my broken self to battle every morning with no audience, no applause, no reassurance. You want to talk about mental health? Then talk about routine, talk about structure, talk about winning the small wars. The cold shower when you're depressed, the meal prep when you're anxious, the workout when you're mentally exhausted. That's where men are built, not in escape, but in confrontation, not in indulgence, but in resistance. When I was weak, I looked for a way out. When I became strong, I looked for ways in. Into the fire, into the hardship, into the very things I once avoided. Let me tell you something, most people are too scared to admit. Feeling like a victim gives you relief, but never results. You might get compassion. You might get temporary comfort, but you'll never get transformation. The world will hand you a million reasons to stay where you are. Labels, excuses, circumstances, and if you accept them, you stay broken. But the day you say, I don't care what's happened, I'm taking ownership, that's the day your healing actually begins. I've met men with horrific pasts, darker than you could imagine. Abuse, poverty, abandonment, and yet they're standing tall now. Not because they were lucky, but because they chose to stop reliving their pain and start rebuilding from it. And that's the part people skip. They see success and think he had it easy. No, I had an intentional. I didn't wait to feel ready. I created readiness through repetition. I didn't wait for confidence. I built it through promises, kept to myself. You don't rise when you feel like it. You rise because you made a vow to never go back to who you used to be. That's what saved me. That's what gave me back my mind, my drive, my fire. And if I could pull myself from that mental abyss with nothing but rage, grit, and discipline, you can too. You're not different. You're not hopeless. You're just undertrained. And it's time to change that. I don't share this to impress you. I share it so you understand this. You're not alone in your pain, but you are alone in your decision. No one can make it for you. No one can lift that weight, take that cold shower, write that journal, face that fear, break that pattern, except you. Every second you hesitate, your old self strengthens. And every second you act, the new you is born. It's that simple. It's that hard. But that's the price of freedom. That's the price of peace. It doesn't come from outside. It comes from mastery of self. You want to win the war in your head? Then act like a soldier. Build a code. Follow it relentlessly. Fail and restart stronger. Fall and rise faster. Feel weak and fight harder. The cure is not in feeling, it's in doing. And once you understand that, you'll never be at the mercy of your mind again. You'll use it. You'll train it. You'll command it. And that's when you become unstoppable. Do you think your depression is unique? You think you're the only one who wakes up with a heavy chest and no appetite for life? You think you're the only man who looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the person staring back? Let me break it to you. There are millions like you, but only a few will ever make it out. Not because they're smarter, not because they had help, but because they chose to stop romanticizing their suffering and started weaponizing it. There's a brutal truth most people will never say out loud. Your feelings are lying to you. That voice in your head that says you're broken, it's not your conscience, it's your enemy. And the longer you listen, the deeper it buries you in that pit. You've mistaken for mental illness. Everyone wants to feel understood. Everyone wants someone to tell them, it's okay, you're not weak, you're just struggling. But what happens when you stay in that comfort too long? What happens when struggling becomes your identity? You lose the fire. You lose the urgency. You start building excuses instead of a strategy. And slowly, without realizing it, you become addicted to sympathy. It's not your fault, they say. But here's what they won't tell you. If it's not your fault, then it's not your solution either. You've handed over the steering wheel of your life to a diagnosis, a memory, a feeling. And now you wonder why you're still stuck. Let me ask you something. If your house was on fire, would you sit there analyzing how the fire started? Would you lie on the floor weeping about how unfair it is that your house caught fire while others are fine? Or would you stand up, find the extinguisher, and start fighting for your life? Mental pain is fire. And every minute you sit in it without action, it consumes more of who you are. But I can't help how I feel. Yes, you can. Maybe not instantly, but through repetition, through control, through refusal. But I'm overwhelmed. Good, use it. Let the overwhelm become fuel. Let it push you to do the hard thing first. The hard thing is never going to feel easy. That's why it works. That's why it changes you. You don't fix your mind by pampering it. You fix it by disciplining it like a wild dog until it obeys. That doesn't mean pretending you're fine. That means you stop negotiating with the version of you that wants to stay broken. That means you talk to yourself like a warrior, not a victim. We don't have time for breakdowns. We don't have space for weakness. Get up, move, work. The body will follow where the mind leads. But if the mind is weak, the body decays with it. When I felt like I was drowning in mental sludge, I didn't wait for clarity. I created it. I forced routine into the chaos. I forced rituals where there was once randomness. That's how you dig yourself out. Not with words, but with will. You ever notice how the men who make it out of hell aren't the ones who cry the loudest? They're the ones who go silent, who cut everyone off, who disappear into the grind. Because they've seen the truth. They've realized that no one's coming to rescue them. They've buried the fantasy. They've killed the idea that someone will understand them so deeply that healing magically appears. That's not healing, that's dependency. And it will betray you every time. Real healing comes when you stop searching for softness and start building strength. If no one helps me, I'll help myself. That sentence alone can change your life forever. Pain isn't special. Pain is universal. But what you do with it, that's what separates warriors from cowards. A coward feels pain and wants to numb it. A warrior feels pain and sharpens his blade with it. Every rejection, every failure, every dark thought, it becomes part of his training. You say your mind is broken? then fix it like a craftsman. Sit with it, understand it, reshape it. I will not die in this state. I will not let this be my legacy. That's the kind of thinking that breaks curses. That's what resurrects a man from his mental grave. If you're reading this thinking, it's too late for me, you're still missing it. The moment you're aware of your chains, you're already halfway free. What keeps you trapped is the belief that your feelings are final. They're not. They're temporary. They're chemical signals, not eternal truths. Just because I feel worthless doesn't mean I am. Just because I feel lost doesn't mean I can't chart a path forward. That internal rebellion is what makes the difference. That refusal to accept your current state as permanent. So here's your choice. Stay safe in your sorrow, wallow in your story, make excuses, blame, cry, wait for understanding, wait for motivation, wait for a feeling that may never come. Or get up, grab control, create structure, make a schedule, cut the poison out of your life, bad food, weak friends, useless habits, become a man of action. And when the darkness returns tomorrow, you hit back again and again and again until your mind learns who's boss. That's how you win. That's how you rebuild. Not with help, with hunger. You don't rise by waiting for the storm to pass. You rise by walking straight into it with blood in your mouth and a reason to keep moving. There is no version of your life where you magically become who you're supposed to be without pain. Everyone wants the glow, no one wants the grind. But life doesn't hand out trophies to men who feel sorry for themselves. You think the world cares that you're struggling? You think life gives a single damn that you're depressed, that you're tired, that you don't feel like it today? It doesn't. The clock's still ticking, the sun still rises, and every day you hesitate is another day the enemy gains ground on you. An enemy named comfort, weakness, softness, passivity. You either fight back or you drown. It told you to take it easy, to heal slowly, to be kind to yourself, and you listened because it felt good. But now what? You've spent months babying a mind that needs to be trained, not coddled. Rest isn't recovery when it becomes your identity. That voice in your head telling you to wait, to delay, to breathe, that's not peace. It's paralysis disguised as self-care. Healing isn't about feeling better, it's about becoming unrecognizable to the version of you that broke in the first place. The truth is, your life changes when your standards change. When you say, I don't negotiate with the weak version of me anymore, that's the moment the shift begins. Not when you feel better, but when you decide to be better regardless of how you feel. I've seen men come from nothing, scarred by betrayal, crushed by addiction, haunted by depression, and rise like monsters. You know why? Because they got sick of the story. They got sick of walking into rooms and being the guy everyone pitied. They got sick of waiting to be saved. I looked around and realized no one was coming, so I stood up alone. That's the kind of sentence that builds legacies. That's what makes your past irrelevant. Your trauma isn't your curse, it's your crucible. Use it, burn in it if you have to, but don't crawl, don't beg, don't wait. You think the gym is about biceps? It's about war. Every rep is a refusal, a middle finger to weakness. Every drop of sweat is a contract signed with your future self. I will not go quietly. I will not be average. I will not be a victim of my own biology. When your mind tells you to quit, and you do one more set anyway, that's not fitness, that's psychological rebellion. And that rebellion leaks into everything, into how you speak, how you walk, how you look people in the eye. You stop apologizing for existing. You start walking like a man who's fought his own darkness and lived to tell the tale. You'll never be ready. That's the trap. Everyone is waiting for the perfect moment, for clarity, for motivation, but the man who wins is the man who acts without it. I move forward even when I'm blind. That sentence alone has carried more men out of hell than any medication ever could. You want to feel alive again? Start by keeping promises to yourself. Wake up when you said you would, train when you said you would, build what you said you would. And slowly, your brain starts to trust you again. The fog lifts, the self-hatred quiets. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. People say discipline is hard. You know what's harder? Hating yourself. Waking up every day and knowing you betrayed your own potential. That's the kind of weight that rots you from the inside. Discipline is mercy compared to regret. And if you've been to that place where the shame is so heavy you can barely look in the mirror, then you know exactly what I mean. You crawl out of that pit, not with comfort, but with rage, with fire, with a promise that you will never sink that low again. I may fall, but I will never stay down. That's the warrior's creed. You think you need therapy? Try consistency. Try waking up at 5 a.m. for 30 days straight. Try training until your muscles scream and then pushing anyway. Try cutting out the dopamine traps, junk food, porn, gossip, cheap entertainment, and see what's left. What's left is the real you, the quiet killer, the grounded, unshakable, forged in fire version of you. That man doesn't break. That man doesn't beg. That man isn't waiting for motivation because he became the source of his own power. I am my own drug, my own therapist, my own savior. That's not arrogance, that's responsibility. And if no one ever told you this before, let me say it loud. You are not broken. You are undisciplined. You are not a victim. You are distracted. You are not lost. You are avoiding the truth. And the truth is simple. The world will never stop punishing you for your softness. You either harden up or get left behind. That doesn't mean you lose your soul. It means you protect it with iron gates. It means you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even flinch if you died tomorrow. It means you carry your pain like armor, not baggage. So here's what you do now. You rise early. You train with purpose. You speak with fire. You work like you're already behind. You stop blaming your brain, your parents, your past, and you take back control 1 minute at a time. You build momentum. And the moment that version of you, the soft, scared, defeated version, tries to whisper again, you silence it with action. You crush it under the weight of your own discipline. Because that's how warriors are made, not through comfort, but through conquest. This is it. This is the moment. Not tomorrow, not after the next meltdown, not after the next failed relationship or mental spiral. Now. This is the line in the sand. You've spent enough time living in reaction, enough time medicating the pain without confronting the source, enough time telling the world what you've been through instead of showing them who you became because of it. You don't need more time to think. Sometimes you need to become the type of man who stops explaining and starts executing. Mental health isn't a condition, it's a battleground. And you fight with habits, with daily wins, with an unrelenting refusal to be at the mercy of your own emotions. You want to feel good? Then earn it. You want peace in your mind? Then conquer the war that lives there. You want the anxiety to go away? Then stop fueling it with inaction and comfort and self-pity. You don't fix the mind by escaping life. You fix it by becoming too strong to be broken by it. That's the truth they won't tell you. You don't heal by talking endlessly about your trauma. You heal by building a life so powerful, so precise, so dialed in that the trauma has nowhere left to live and dies from starvation while you're too busy dominating every area of your existence. No one is going to save you. Let that burn into your soul. There is no rescue team coming. Not your parents, not your friends, not society. No therapist in the world can do what you're supposed to do for yourself. They can guide you, sure. But the work, the war, that's on you. Because real healing isn't passive. It's violent. It's surgical. It's waking up and declaring, I will never again let my weakness define my identity. You can take medication, but you better be building momentum while you're on it. You can talk to someone, but you better be taking action between sessions. Because no conversation in the world can replace the self-respect that comes from discipline. You owe yourself a legacy. You owe that younger version of you, the one who suffered in silence, the kind of life he never even believed was possible. Do you understand how much strength lives inside you? How much potential you're suffocating under excuses? You are not just some guy with problems. You are a fucking weapon waiting to be unleashed. But you've dulled your own blade with comfort, distraction, and blame. You let your past define your ceiling. You let pain become your personality. It happened to you, yes, but what happens next is entirely up to you. And that's the power most people never tap into. You are not your trauma. You are what you do about it. You are not your depression. You are your decisions in the face of it. You are not broken. You are battle-tested. Every scar is evidence that you've survived. And if you've survived, you can rebuild. If you're still breathing, you've still got time. So use it. Stop crying over what hurt you and start crafting what will heal you. Step into a routine so strict it leaves no room for breakdown. Build a mind so sharp that fear cuts itself on your thoughts. Build a body so conditioned it becomes a suit of armor. Build an environment so clean, so ruthless, so organized that chaos has no place to hide. And when the voices come, because they will, and they whisper the lies again, telling you you're worthless, hopeless, incapable, you stand taller. You answer them with proof. Proof you've earned in silence, early mornings, cold showers, reps, books, work, progress. You don't silence the voices by arguing with them. You silence them by outperforming them. Every day is a chance to prove that the old you is dead and the new you doesn't flint. You want confidence? Stack undeniable evidence. You want power? Stack wins when no one's watching. You don't get a second life. You don't respawn. You don't come back to redo this. The pain you're carrying, the darkness you've been through, it wasn't random. It was fuel. It was the exact formula required to shape the beast you're meant to be. The only question now is, will you use it or waste it? Will you become the man your suffering demanded, or will you let it all rot? That's the fork in the road. One path leads to mediocrity, medication, and regret. The other, discipline, dignity, and domination. This is the rebirth, not with candles and soft music, but with grit, fire, and a savage commitment to never return to that version of you again. Today you walk different, you talk different, you move like a man who's faced hell and came back with a blueprint. You hold your head high, not because life is easy, but because you know nothing can break a man who takes full responsibility for everything. No matter how unfair, no matter how dark, it all becomes his. That's where the freedom is. That's where the power is. That's where peace lives. Stop waiting. Start building, get up, move now. Turn the pain into power, turn the breakdown into a breakthrough. The man you've always wanted to become is on the other side of every excuse you've ever made. Enough talking, enough waiting, enough hope. Decide, commit, become.